All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Marvin, you've went and seen Wicked. You've gone through it. How did you start, Marvin?
Not only did I see it, because my wife is a super fan, I took her today to the double feature. I sat through Wicked 1 and 2 in the theater today.
How many hours of Wicked is that?
Started at 11 a.m. and we got out. I didn't get home until around 5. So it was a lot of hours of Wicked.
A lot of Wicked.
Yeah.
You felt like you were in a bubble, like Ariana.
Yes, I was the boy in the bubble, and it was just as unmemorable as that song. Here's the thing. This movie, it is what happens when Hollywood runs out of source material, but still needs to stretch things because they're greedy.
Well, let's start off this way. Before we get into that, Marvin, and you're going in the direction that I thought you would go in, but let's do it this way. For all three of us, how did we rate the first Wicked before we get into the second one? Okay, Marvin?
I loved the first one.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what did you give it last time?
I think I gave it a solid 8.5.
Okay.
Like I really liked it.
I gave it a 9. Michelle, what did you give the first one?
Well, we go on a scale of 5, but if I'm doing to 10, I would have given it like a 9.
Okay, so 8.5, 9. That's a really, really good score. We don't give fantastic scores all the time, and that's in spite of the fact that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are exceedingly weird. Like, they make it hard to root for this movie, and yet the first one, we loved it. Marvin, I'm hearing from you that you felt this one was padded out. You felt like there wasn't a lot of story, but they had to make a second movie, so they made a second movie, and whatever it took, let's do it, right?
For those of you that have not seen the Broadway show, this is split at the act. Act 1 was the first movie. Act 2 is the second movie. Act 2 is much shorter. It's about half the length, and it has one memorable song, maybe 2.
I would put it this way, Marvin. Act 2 is really just Act 3 of a movie, like in the play. Like that's all that's left is the final act when you come back from the intermission.
You're right. It's the conclusion of the story. The problem was it doesn't have as many showstoppers as a lot of the songs in Act 2 are more mellow and ballady. This is a much darker movie than the first one, but the problem is that every time they run away from the source material, it's creative bankruptcy. And that includes the song that Cynthia Erivo wrote that was the most hackily inserted thing I've ever seen in my life. And they even took some moments from the Broadway show that I really like and just did them very poorly, I thought, which is not something that I could say about things in the first one. The first one was so like on point and kind of captured the spirit of the Broadway show. Whereas this one, things like, and I'll get into more specifics as we go along, but the Wicked Witch of the East scene, As Long as You're Mine song, all of these emotional beats.
As Long as Your Mine stood out to me.
It stood out to me, Michelle, because like the point of this is you're supposed to go from I'm Not That Girl reprise, right? Ariana is I'm not that girl. And then right away, it's supposed to hit the bum, 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 bum. Yep. And in the play, they're on their knees together and they're clutching at each other like Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande in a press interview. And because the point of the song is like, I can't believe I'm with you. Like I can't believe this is happening. And if I let go of you for 1 second, this moment might slip away and this might not be real. And we have to stay connected for that reason. This song starts with Cynthia Erivo walking away from him across the room. She is walking away, literally singing the lines, kiss me too fiercely, hold me too tight. I need help believing I'm with you tonight, while she puts on a grandma sweater.
That was one of the worst parts of the movie, easily. We'll get into that in just a minute. Michelle, tell the people out there, though, because a lot of folks are going to say, okay, what I need to know about this is it woke? Like, if I go see this, is it going to be off-putting to me? Is it as weird as these two act off screen? What do you think, Michelle? If you're advising a normie about how painful it's going to be to see this movie, what do you say?
Well, I think if they saw the first one and weren't bothered by the first, they won't be bothered in that regard for this.
Right. I agree with that.
There was one scene where I thought, okay, this is wokeness in action, and that was the Wicked Witch of the East scene, because the point in the play is that Nessa Rose wants to walk, and that's what she does. Like, she gives her the slippers, and they make her walk. In this, that's ableism, so she can't want to not be in her wheelchair.
Right.
And that was when I was like, okay, they're doing stupid woke crap. That was the only part where I thought that it got overly woke. And I thought that, like, with the way the director has talked about that No Place Like Home song, I think it's supposed to be like a Trump's America kind of thing. But other than that, like, you have to really look for it, I think, to get that sense out of it.
Yeah, so I thought that this is a movie that is definitely not as good as the first one. Again, I give the first one 9 out of 10, despite the fact that these stars are difficult, right? They're difficult to root for because they've just been so strange. This movie feels very extended beyond what the story is giving us. And I'll tell you, I think there are going to be some people who are frustrated with this if they've watched The Wizard of Oz and they like The Wizard of Oz and they've not read any of the books and they don't care about the lore of Wicked. They just like The Wizard of Oz. And I think there's a large segment of the population that just likes The Wizard of Oz, and they're going to this and they're thinking they're going to get member berries. And the characters from The Wizard of Oz that show up are disturbing. So,
and barely in it, bro. Like, they're showing this in the trailer. They're showing like this scene in the trailer, and like these characters are barely in there.
The lion is, the Cowardly Lion is flat out traumatized. He is a traumatized character.
He's the PTSD lion.
The Tin Man
is so angry.
Is terrifying. Oh yeah,
he's Frankenstein's monster. Like,
yeah, I think he's murderous. And Dorothy is presented as a nitwit dummy that we never see her face. Okay, and that's fine. They don't want to do the Judy Garland thing, and I get it. It's part of the Wicked thing. But she's a nitwit annoyance who is allowed to believe that she won when she didn't. And if you separate out from the people who know Wicked and have seen it and all that kind of stuff, I think there's a large segment of the population that if they go see this, they're going to say, I don't like that. I like The Wizard of Oz better. And this is very dark. It's a very dark movie. Okay. So any disagreements there?
Not at all. I said that the tone reminded, not quality wise, just the tone reminded me of like Revenge of the Sith almost.
Now, we're going through the things we didn't like. Okay. And I don't want to trounce this movie. I don't want to make people think, that it's terrible. I don't think it is terrible. Mm-mm. One of the things that didn't work though, and then we'll get into the good stuff. One of the things that definitely does not work is Cynthia Erivo with the boy toy, right? Michelle, who's the chemistry? What's his name?
Fiyero.
Fiyero. Okay. Fiyero, when the Wicked Witch and Fiyero, when Elphaba and Fiyero are together, it doesn't work. And we could come up with reasons that it doesn't work, and they would probably all be offensive, or people would assume that we're being offensive. So I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to tell you, it does not work. It is awkward. They're trying their best to present like they're romantic. And as Marvin said, she's wearing some sort of fur grandma coat, and it's all kinds of weird.
It feels
not romantic.
It feels like they are being dragged into that scene, kicking and screaming, like they do not want to do it.
Maybe they were.
Well, I think Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande wanted the love story to be Elphaba and Glinda, and that's not the story.
Right.
Like, I have to give it to Cynthia Erivo because she did an amazing job of kind of channeling Ariana Grande in her performance when she steals another woman's husband. So I think she did some real method acting.
She was on the other side of the table, is what you're saying.
Yes.
By the way, here's she can't walk, so she floats, right? She levitates because
she floats for 5 seconds and then goes back to her wheelchair because there's nothing wrong with that. Like, right. Oh, she's in a wheelchair and she doesn't want to get out of it. Like, stop.
But like, I actually kind of laugh when she meets her end because like she was just so awful.
Well, and she's out in the middle of she's out in the middle of a typhoon in her wheelchair. So I mean, honestly, get inside, lady.
My friend said, in what other movie could you see a girl in a wheelchair get crushed to death by a house and not feel even the slightest bit of sympathy for her? Like, imagine now Dorothy getting out of the house and seeing like the legs coming out, but also like wheelchair pieces. Like, she's going to be so much more horrified that she crushed a person in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I literally laughed.
Me too.
All right, so let's talk about what worked. Okay, we'll start with Michelle. Michelle, it's not a bad movie. We just need to put that out. What works in this? What goes well?
Okay, what goes well is the hours worth of material they had from the Broadway play.
Bingo.
Besides some of the issues he's talking about with that one song, because that was a bit of a letdown, though the song is still good. You still enjoy the song at the very least. It's just the
soundtrack
a lot better. So you enjoyed the hour that you knew was coming from the Broadway play, a scene that kind of come to life. The costume and set design was really pretty. So there's some really pretty eye candy for women to look at.
It's a movie. I mean, like, I don't know how much, I don't know the budget off the top of my head. I don't remember now. I don't know what the break even is. I should know that. We'll get into that over the weekend once we figure out what this thing's making. But it's obvious, like, corners were not cut. They spent whatever they needed to spend, they spent it on this movie.
Yeah.
So it's an extravaganza, just like the first one, but this one probably more so. This is actually probably bigger in terms of the scope and scale of the glamour of it all.
One last thing I will say that is a critique. Sorry to go back to critique. Wicked obviously is dramatic. It's a Broadway play, but I feel like the second half, like they took the drama up like multiple levels, and it was like to a ridiculous melodrama level.
It's kind of like Lord of the Rings. It's like Lord of the Rings, the musical. It's very
well, and all of a sudden she's an action hero. Like she's skateboarding on her on her broom and like pulling people up into the air with a whip. I'm like, when did she become a kung fu master?
Marvin, I don't know if you noticed, every time that broom takes off, the bass inside the theater, man, I'm sure the other theater shook. I mean, they really, it's like a sonic boom every time she takes off. And then there's a scene where her sister in the wheelchair is angry and she slaps a desk. And when she slaps the desk, I'm telling you, it is like the hammer of Thor just dropped down. And I thought, I want that ability. I want the ability to slap a desk and like thunder, just a thunderclap happens. Anyway, I thought, listen, the movie's good. It's worthwhile if you're a Wicked fan. It's worthwhile if you're a Wizard of Oz fan. And I don't think you're going to have necessarily a bad time, but it's very obvious. It's very obvious where the original is and where the extra fluff is. And there is a lot of extra fluff. And one of the problems I have with this is that when we get into the ending, it really is Lord of the Rings-esque, in that there is a very long, here's what happens to wrap up all these ends. Like, we get the finale. It's Wicked, so there's not a big fight. There's not a big, that's not the way it works. And then we get into, all right, here's 30 more minutes of victory exposition. Oh, no.
I will say, I thought the best scene in the entire film was No Good Deed Goes Unpunished. She sings it very well. The only thing I didn't like is in every other version of it, it opens with her screaming Fiero's name.
Yes,
because it's supposed to go from Glinda screaming it in like horror to Elphaba screaming it in like a desperate rage. And the point of the song, it's like her emotional break. And I feel like, Michelle, it was like an intentional thing to not have her yell out his name. Like, I feel like they were almost trying to like distance her from him in that moment. I mean, she sings it fine. She's probably why are there balloons? She sings it in like, it's like the fourth best I've ever heard it sang, because I've seen it on Broadway 3 times and I've seen this. So she's the worst of the good singers I've heard do it, but still sang it good. The visuals are what sold that scene for me. The red lightning in the sky, the scenery, the monkeys lighting the torches, like that really, like that was the one scene that gave me goosebumps.
And I'll tell you this, I don't know what was going on with the production of this. There are some oddities with the actors, but it feels like everybody gave it everything they had. Yeah. From Jeff Goldblum to Ariana Grande to Cynthia Erivo, like everybody gave it everything. And as much as they weird me out when they're on the press tour, and as much as I probably disagree with them on a lot of things, I can't take anything away from either Cynthia Erivo or Ariana Grande. I still think Idina Menzel should have been the witch. They could have de-aged her, and I think it would have made more money. But I'm not taking away from Cynthia Erivo. I don't think she can do any better than she's doing. I think that every person in this, even to the point of, this is what was amazing to me at one point. I don't know if you two saw this. When they're singing the last song, I noticed that Ariana Grande was actually contorting her face, the way that she vocalizes with her mouth. She was actually protruding her lower jaw out farther in order to get the exact phoneme placements that Kristen Chenoweth has.
Yep.
To hit that exactly. And when I saw that, I thought, my gosh, like they really did. As much as they may weird me out, they gave it everything, and I can't hold that against them.
Ariana Grande is a phenomenal mimic, but she's also a phenomenal singer. So I had no problems with her in this film at all. For Good didn't hit the emotional beat for me that it normally does when I see the stage version, mostly because I'm hyper aware of who these actresses are, and I'm just like, oh, it's just them being clingy with each other again. I will say I hated Jeff Goldblum in this.
It's just okay.
Jeff Goldblum. I just can't.
So what I didn't like about that is that was like this whole big added scene, this whole big added song where we're supposed to believe, at the end of the last half, he just convinced the world she's the witch. Like she shouldn't, and then she just comes and like they have like a group chat and do a song and dance, like they're just cool with each other again for a few minutes.
I get why you think it's an added song. It's actually in the play, but they changed it so much because. Okay. So Wonderful is probably my second favorite song from the entire thing. It's a great character moment for the wizard because it's just proof that like even though with all of this propaganda, he's like, oh no, I can take care of that. Like I can. The most celebrated are the rehabilitated.
That was in it. Okay, I forgot about that one.
It is, but the thing is, Jeff Goldblum can't sing.
Right.
So they had to. Glinda is not in that song in the play. And so they had to shoehorn her in there so Ariana Grande could sing half the song for Jeff Goldblum.
And so he could sing it. I mean,
yes. And the other thing is Michelle Yeoh cannot hold a tune with handles. No. And if Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Yeoh can't sing, they should not be in a musical.
Yes.
It's Jeff Goldblum. I mean, he's just
but Kelsey Grammer would have Kelsey Grammer would have knocked that role out of the park.
Darn it, you're right. Kelsey Grammer would be a great. Darn it! That's now you're pulling me.
All I kept thinking when during Wonderful was like, how good would this be if Kelsey Grammer was singing? I will send you to heaven before I send you to hell.
So okay, let's get into what we think about this movie in terms of what are we going to score it, because a lot of people out there are going to decide what they're going to do. Do they go see this? Do they wait? Do they see Zootopia? And there's also the issue of the 2025 box office has been horrific. I mean. We're talking about the worst for periods of time since like the 80s, and that's not adjusting for inflation. So this has been bad, and theaters are at the edge of collapse. So many of your local theaters are trying not to go out of business right now, and the business of Wicked is to save them, at least for this weekend. So let's tackle it from that standpoint. How do we score it, and is it good enough, do you think, to do what it needs to do to save the box office until next year? Marvin, we'll start with you.
Okay. I would rate this probably out of 10. I'm going between a 5 and a 6, so I'm going to go 5.5.
All right, 5.5 out of 10. Michelle,
because half the movie was good. Half the movie was fine.
The original.
Yeah.
What was in the Broadway play that's there is really good, and what's not takes a lot of work to get through. All right, Michelle, what say you?
I give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, so 5.5 and a 6. And that leaves it up to me. What am I going to do with this one? I'm going to say, I'm going to come at this from somebody, because I've seen Wicked. I think I've seen Wicked once. I may have seen it twice, but I've seen Wicked once live. And I'm going to try to come to it as somebody who, I'm going to pretend to not have seen that. And how would I view this? And I'm trying to think, too, because everybody's seen The Wizard of Oz, so you can't get away from that. Yeah. What are they going to think about it? And I think I'm going to give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 because,
Well, I was between a 6 and a 6.5, like, because there is a lot of good as far as I feel like if you're someone who really loves Wicked, I feel like you just have to go see it because there is stuff that you're going to enjoy.
Right. So that would make our official review score for this, folks, be a 6.3. That would official review score for Wicked for Good is a 6.3 out of 10. Now that is a far cry from the 9 out of 10, but is it still a good movie? And will it come back after the weekend? Because that's what it's going to do. Fine. It's going to do Bonanza at the box office this weekend. Zootopia is going to come out then. Does Wicked for Good make a comeback after it? Because for it to break even and for it to save the box office, it's got to have a strong run through the holidays. It's got to be one of those musicals like The Greatest Showman where all through Christmas people are going to see it. You guys think that's going to happen or no?
I don't know. I think it can definitely have a good opening weekend, and I think probably do well through Thanksgiving at the very least.
I think that this movie should have opened at least 2 weeks ago and had this big runway to Zootopia and Thanksgiving weekend, because I think Zootopia is going to siphon a lot of its box office away. So I think it's going to open very strong, but I think you're going to see a second weekend drop in the high 60s when Zootopia comes out.
I want to tell people too, you're going to see headlines that this movie has broken all kinds of records. And I just need you to understand what they're going to do is they're going to come out and they may do it within the next hours and claim that this is the biggest musical ever by far at the box office, beating its own record, yada, 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 yada. And they're going to say the first day, was the debut was the biggest we've ever seen. And they're not going to tell you that they're pulling in the Amazon Prime Monday or Tuesday. What day was that, Marvin?
I think it was Tuesday and possibly Wednesday also. But I mean, what they're going to say is it did this in previews.
So they're going to, and that's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all rolled into a single giant announcement over the weekend. Yes. The problem is, if Zootopia comes in, and it all comes down to, is Zootopia woke or not? If Zootopia 2 is not woke, it's going to clear $1 billion, and it's going to be huge for Disney. If there's stuff in there that makes people not like it and they don't want to take their kids, you're going to have the same thing you saw with Lightyear and Strange World. The chasm that exists is massive for family films that go woke. But if Zootopia is not woke, and if it does what they're saying right now, this film's in trouble. And we need to pay attention to that. Don't fall for the headlines, ladies and gentlemen. Don't jump to it and say, oh my, Pro and the rest of the gang were wrong. It's doing so good. So long, guys. Your analysis is incorrect, because the second week is what's going to matter for this one.
I'm also pretty sure we've been saying all along this movie is going to make money.
It's going to make money.
I don't think we've ever said this is going to bomb. I do think it's going to have a pretty substantial drop off in the second weekend, though.
The question for this movie is, can it match the other one? And they've been saying that it's going to exceed it by far. But I'm not sure, based on the cinema score results and the tracking, not sure about that. And if Zootopia comes and eats its lunch, then, if it lands at the 500 million, 600 million, it's not a success for them.
That's why I don't understand this release date, because there's been nothing for weeks.
No.
And you put this out because you're not putting it out on the Thanksgiving weekend, because that's got Zootopia written all over it. So why would you put it out the week before Zootopia?
Michelle, the great news is this is so successful, in terms of like how Hollywood perceives it, that maybe they'll just make Wicked 3 and be like, you know what? We just decided there was another act. We're going to bring her back. She's coming back to Oz, baby. And we're going to make it all up from scratch. Go to
I don't even think I wouldn't even go see it.
Yeah, probably not either. So now, but by the way, before anyone gets on us, they're saying Stephen Schwartz, the original composer, did write the new songs with Cynthia Erivo. I, for the life of me, don't believe it. I think that maybe he approved them and signed his name on it, but they don't sound anything like Stephen Schwartz songs, and the new songs are entirely forgettable.
So if you had to ask, I think you can go see it, and you're going to get your money's worth, but it's not as good as the first. The first is by far the best.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it really is. I mean, the first one is one of the greatest musical movies of all time, really. And we said it during the review last year. This one, not so much. Yeah. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of people in the next coming years who are going to be like, marathon time, holidays, put on both the Wickeds.
If they would have, last thing I'll say before my brain shuts off for the evening, if they would have done what they did with Les Mis and just did 1 3-hour movie, I get why they did it financially, because it's just kind of like extra, basically. But had they just done 1 3-hour movie and kept to the Broadway play, it would have been we would have all been singing its praises for years to come of what an epic, fantastic, rendition of the Broadway play this movie was.
And might have been a 10 out of 10, honestly.
Oh, it would have been a 10 out of 10 if yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And DL Fendel pointing out in the chat, by the way, that people are not going to go back and see this twice or 3 times the way they did with the first one because it's not fun.
It's
like
it's dark.
It's heavy. It's dark. It's emotional. Like people were crying in the theater during For Good. It's not the romp that the first one was.
And it again features that thing that drove down the box office for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, cruelty to animals, man. That you put that into a movie, and it is anathema to box office success. I don't know, though. I guess we'll see, folks. It needs to match the first one, $700 million to be a success. Will it do so? Well, we don't know, but we say it's a 6.3 out of 10.
Are you sick and tired of stuff being swept under the rug because you or the media are too lazy to actually deal with it? Or are things just building up around you so much that you can no longer ignore it? Also like the mainstream media? Well, I got the solution for you. I'm Wilton the Troll, and I want to tell you about this revolutionary new product called Jonas. That's right, no longer do you have to put up with stuff shoved under the rug. You can actually get rid of it and dispose of the problem in seconds by using Jonas. You can, in a matter of seconds, deal with the political and illogical buildup of the muck and grime around you effectively and efficiently with Jonas. You might think this is an ordinary vacuum, but you'd be wrong. You can clean up and remove from one end, but Jonas, he actually works from both ends. From the back end, Jonas can blow a whole bunch of hot air, and that's cool. Remember, folks, if you actually want to deal with the dirt and grime the mainstream media has been neglectful about, get Jonas, 'cause Jonas sucks.